I'll show this to you, but you're probably not going to use this method. And I thought that was the craziest thing. If it works so well, why would I not use the method? And he said, look, anytime we ask for referral, we always front
All right, Mr. Vlad Cherchenko, thank you so much for being on the Elite Agent Talk. I'm so pumped up to have you on the show here because I heard so many great things about you, and we kind of emailed and texted back and forth some of the things we're working on here, but finally having a chance to have a conversation. I'm excited how you're doing, my man.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to see you in person in a couple of weeks at the Insurance Growth Conference. It'll be phenomenal. I spent the last month all across the country traveling, doing workshops for insurance agents. And I would show them the speaker lineup and I would show who's speaking. And every time that I did that, there were some names that people knew, other names, not so much. But whenever I brought up your name, people were like, oh, Dan, I've seen his podcast. So there's a lot of people that follow your work, and I'm excited to hear from you in person here in a couple of weeks at the Insurance Growth Conference. It'll be great.
Yeah, no, it's an honor to be one of the speakers because I saw the lineup. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you got some pretty big names in the insurance industry together. So how long have you been doing this insurance training? I mean, it didn't happen overnight where you're able to, have all these people come and show up to events like this.
Dan, this was never the plan. This was never the plan to do this. So I'll give you the background story in a quick nutshell. Before getting into insurance, I was in retail. I was in Best Buy, and I loved what I did. But what I wanted was financial freedom, and people to have different definitions for financial freedom. And I will give you the short version of it. For me, I wanted to make enough income, not earn income, but passive income that could pay for all my expenses and not live on the minimum, but have a very fulfilling life and not have to earn that income. So I knew I couldn't accomplish that by having a job. I needed to have a business or an income producing asset. So my options at that time when I was really young were obviously great, as it is for everybody. But the reason I chose P&C insurance specifically is because I knew if I worked my tail off for 5-10 years, I can build an assets and then have enough income coming in to where I can do whatever I want with my time and have the right people that work in the right systems in my organization. So I looked at a lot of different companies, and State Farm recruited me, and I just happened to get the number one recruiter in the company. I mean, this guy was phenomenal. He sold me the dream of not just being in insurance, but being with State Farm. And as I started talking to agents, I realized that a lot of agents struggle in the first few years as they're building systems, hiring team members. They don't know what lead vendors to use. So I thought, you know what, instead of struggling in the first few years, why don't I work for an agency owner, kind of like a protege? They call it the agent aspirant program, and figure it out over 18 months and then open up my agency. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. And when I started working in the agency, the agreements I made with my agency owner was that the only way that I was going to get paid any commission on any new business that I wrote was if I brought new business to the agency that wouldn't have been there had it have not been for my effort. So if I go out and do networking events, knock on doors, get referrals, that's my business. If I work any new internet leads that are coming in, that I can't get paid on. So I tried all the door knocking, all the things that a lot of agents do, networking events, but I felt like that wasn't immediately scalable. I couldn't talk to a lot of people and quote a lot of people, but if I picked up the phone, I could have a lot of opportunities to talk to people. So that's what I did. I started making a lot of cold calls and epically failed initially because I, first of all, didn't realize that very few people picked up a phone. I needed to make 10 phone calls to get one pickup. And then I realized that if you double dial, you call someone, they don't pick up, you call the second time, that's when people pick up. A lot of times in the second call. So I started doing that. Started leaving good voicemails, started talking to more people, but then people want to buy insurance from me. So it took me 6 months, and I can tell you more if you'd like about this, the exact sales process, the 6-step script of the one call close is what I call it now, where I could call someone, they would pick up the phone, and I would not only write their auto, but I'd also write their home or renter's policy. And once I closed the sale, I would meet with them and by phone, through Zoom or in person, and I would ask for a referral and cross-sell life insurance. But really what I wanted was to get a referral. And if you're my new client, Dan, you're excited about this new policy that you got with me, you're most likely to send me a referral when you transact with me. So that's when I would ask for a referral, and I would front the $10 gift card. So before you even sent me a client, I would give you a gift card in advance. I would say, Dan, do you know of anybody you can refer my way? You'd say, my sister. Okay, great. Can you have your sister call me? So I wouldn't ask for your sister's phone number. I would ask her to call me. And then you'd say, yeah, I could talk to my sister and have her call you. I'd say, okay, great. For every person you refer my way, I'll give you a gift card. Sound fair? You'd say, sounds fair. But then I would take it one step further and I would send you the gift card right there. If we're in person, I would give it to you in person. I'd say, you know what? Instead of me doing it later, why don't I just do it now? Well, now that I've given you the money, I'm kind of guilt tripping you into actually sending me a referral. So, and when I give you the money, I would say, Dan, I'll follow up with you the next week if I don't hear from your sister. Is that fair? You'd say, that's fair because I just gave you some money. So then I'd follow up 3 and 7 days later, and I would ask you if the gift card worked, and they always work. But then I'd ask, what about your sister? Have you talked to your sister about calling me? So by doing that, I started getting a lot of incoming calls. And when you get a lot of incoming calls, a lot of referrals, you close a lot more business. So on my 6th month, I wrote 100 policies, 100 apps. Wow. On my 9th month, I wrote 152. And all of that on my 9th month came from referrals, incoming calls. On my 6th month, when I did 100 policies, 70 of them were coming from outbound calls. So I still wasn't getting a whole lot of traction from referrals. But when I wrote 100 apps in 1 month, I had a lot of onboarding meetings. And because I had a lot of onboarding meetings with my new clients, I had a lot of referrals, which resulted in a lot of incoming calls, which resulted in a lot of new business. So it's kind of like the snowball that starts at the top of a mountain. It starts off really small, but then you can't stop it as it rolls down because you get so much traction. And that's exactly what happened. And looking back, I think, man, if it wasn't for the referrals, I don't know how sustainable it would have been to make 100 calls because write 100 policies from making outbound calls because it's a grind if you're making a lot of outbound calls. So when I wrote 150 policies in 1 month on a regular basis, I started getting calls from agency owners who would say, hey, Vlad, can I send a producer over to the agency? Well, they would call my agency owner to send staff, and I would get people to come in and watch me sell for a couple hours. They would record the conversation on their phone, and then they would come back, transcribe it. They would use the sales conversation. It worked well for them. So they would send more staff. And before I knew it, I had enough people reaching out to where we did a local workshop for agency owners. And I said, okay, for 30 days, just use this sales process, if nothing else, just this sales process that you're going to learn. I'll teach it over the next couple of days, and we'll see how it goes in 30 days. We had everybody come back 30 days later, and everybody more than doubled their sales. And that's when it occurred to me that, okay, this is not a Vlad thing. This is a sales process that works if you just follow it exactly as it's designed to be used. So I did one workshop and the next workshop, and then I started promoting it all across the country. And I was traveling all across the country doing these workshops. And then sometime later, I came back to the company. I said, okay, I want to open up my agency. And they were not too fond of having me run a second business. So I love State Farm agents, but I was not okay with the company because they didn't give me an opportunity like I thought they would because they didn't want me training other agents, Farmers, Allstate, State Farm agents at the same time as running a new agent, because you have to earn your contract. They want you to be fully devoted to running the agency. So I decided not to work with the company, and I went all in on the consulting business. And I was doing that for a few years, just in person, doing workshops. And then I took my in-person training and I made an online training so that agency owners all across the country can just purchase it, log in, and go through 25 deliberate lessons where they can learn the entire sales process from beginning to end without having to attend a in-person event. And it's a training program that has transformed a lot of agencies. And without getting into too much details, I don't want to make this a sales pitch, but I'll say, in my very biased opinion, I think it's the best P&C sales training out there because, or at least for someone who's very focused on not just working internet leads, but anybody who's making calls, who's wanting to close business in one call and wanting to have it be a simple and repeatable sales process that isn't aggressive, but very assertive. So that's my background in a nutshell. And just recently opened up my agency after going all in on the consulting business for the last 6 or so years, over 6 years. finally open up the agency, because this is what I wanted to do all along, Dan, is to open up the agency. And the timing was finally right. So I did it here a couple of months ago. So
well, welcome to the
that in a nutshell.
yeah, no, welcome to the Farmers family. Yeah, this is awesome. Man, and then sometimes, yeah, well, I've heard some great things about the program though, from agents that are close to me. So sometimes, when I'm a little skeptical and I see like, training material, nothing better than a good testimonial, which I've heard great things about. But so how old were you when you first started as a producer, and where was that? Oregon?
23 in Portland, Oregon. I was 23 years old, 22, 23, and it was in Portland, Oregon. That's where I grew up. And then, yeah, I just moved to Dallas, Texas to open up the agency here. But I was very young. I had experience selling. I had experience leading a team in person, but I've never had a phone job. I never sold anything over the phone. So that was a very, very different experience than anything like I've had before. But the timing was perfect because I wasn't married. I had a girlfriend who I wanted to marry, and I wanted to propose and marry. And I just worked 6 days a week. I would leave my house at 7 a.m., come home at 10, 6 days a week, just working like crazy. That's all I did was work. And I feel like that's what helped me achieve what I achieved. I don't know if if I'd be able to do it the same way today, be married, having 2 kids, because then I didn't have a sales process that I could follow. If I had my sales process that I give agents now today, then I would probably crush it from day one. But I had to develop that sales process, being so new to the industry, not having guidance.
Developing it is the hard part through all the trials and errors and, through all the hours they have to put in. But did you come up with that system off intuition and just off trial and error, or did you kind of piggyback off a different training system, kind of use that? And
Great question. Great question. I'm glad you asked this, because there was no training that I went through then that taught me anything that I teach now. So I'm seeing a lot of different training programs, and I see some resemblance, and I don't know where they got their ideas from. But for me, it was not from any particular course I took, any book that I read. It was trial and error. It was just making outbound calls. When I make an outbound call, if something didn't work, I would try different things. Then once it worked for me, I thought, okay, I'm going to start doing this over and over again. I'd write the process down. So that's how the 6-step script, the one call close, was built, purely from trial and error. And now that it's perfected, it's now being tweaked and iterated still to this day. But yeah, it was all from trial and error.
Nice. And then the workshops, man, how often do you run them? And did it all over the country? I see you all over the place now. I mean, it's just incredible that are you envisioning that to be still always your main business, or what's your game plan as far as with the agency operation now in play too?
The insurance sales lab consulting business will always be a thing that I do. I think that's never going to be something I stop. And I hope to never get out of the insurance business, and because I love it so much, and I always want to have an agency. For me, as far as workshops go, I enjoy doing them. I love doing them. But with me having a brand new agency, I have to commit to my staff here. I have to be here. You know how it is. You hire a new team. You have to set the culture. You have to train them. You have to be there during the first couple of months to really make sure that they have everything going. Now, I love doing these workshops, and I can do one every week because we have enough districts that want to do this training, but we've had to turn a lot of districts away just because I don't have the time to travel, because I leave on say a Monday or Tuesday. So a day before the workshop, I host a 2-day training. I come back. So I miss 4 days throughout the week doing one workshop. And yes, you can make good money doing that, but that's 4 days that I miss from being with the agency. So the opportunity cost there is something I have to factor in. So it's not until we're doing $1 million in premium a month from personal lines that I think I'll be able to go and do a lot more of these in-person workshops. And pretty soon we're going to have people come to us. We're going to open up our agency to where people can come here regularly, and we'll do in-person workshops here. So that's my goal for the future, is I want people coming here to our agency in Dallas.
Well, if you're writing $1 million a month, then people will fly anywhere to learn from you. Man,
And
that's
this
I
time
love it.
next year, that's the goal. This time next year is we want to be doing $1 million in premium per month from personal lines. That's the goal.
I love it, Vlad. Well, you heard it here first. Well, maybe not here first, but we have it here on
Definitely
record.
heard it.
So I'll be happy to have you back on and keep in progress with you because that's really inspirational. I just love with so many things going on. The attitude or about the industry, and to have you come in the scene and just be planning to like blow things up. I mean, that's kind of what we need in this industry. Is like guys like you who have big dreams and has the enthusiasm to do big things. And I can't imagine more perfect setup than someone who's starting than what you have. Because when you're a teacher, that's the best way to become the master. When you're teaching somebody.
Yeah.
So from day one to know exactly what to do. I mean, with the retail program,
I'm on the retail program.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, oh
No,
man.
no book of business. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm excited for you. Boy, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I have no interest, Dan, in running a typical agency. Zero interest. I was talking about this with my team earlier today. That 3 years from now, I want just in personal lines to be at 30 million as far as book of business. So if we're doing things right, I'd like to scale the personal lines business by having teams of 6. I always talk about, and this is something I'll be talking about the Insurance Growth Conference. It's kind of like the Navy SEALs who run in teams of 6. They have a team captain, team lead, and then 5 other people. We're going to have the same concept where we have 1 team lead, 4 salespeople, 1 onboarding specialist, just duplicate it over and over and over again. We'll do that for the personal lines. I'd also like to have a commercial department where through onboarding appointments that we have, if we identify business owners, people who have money, have them be transferred over to our commercial team, not just 1 person, not just 2 people, but a team of 4 or 5 people who are just specializing in commercial business. They're prospecting new business. They're crossing our current book of business, and also do the same thing with life. Why not have, especially with how great commissions are on life insurance, why not treat life insurance the same way we treat P&C? So we buy leads for personal lines, right? Auto, home insurance. Why not do the same thing for life insurance? Yes, we can cross-sell our book of business with life insurance through onboarding appointments, follow-ups, but why not have dedicated people who just focus on getting life insurance? So I'd like to have a personal lines, a commercial lines team, a life insurance team, not 5-10 years from now, but in the next 12 months. That's something that we want to build and have 3 very different functions. And then also we get great support staff from obviously the company with a financial services standpoint as well. I'm not securities licensed, but we can refer business over to our FFS who can have those conversations. Not only will that help with the stickiness of our book of business, but it'll just create an environment where our staff that we bring on know that they can not only advance within the organization, within their position, but there's going to be lateral moves where they can go and be a commercial specialist. They can go and be a life specialist. There's going to be a different opportunity for them if they are just done with being a sales producer in personal lines. So with hiring staff, this is something I promise them, and I tell them that, look, this is not an ordinary agency that you're joining where it's just going to be you calling leads for until you retire. There's a lot of growth opportunities that you're going to have when you join the agency. And I feel like that's exciting. That's what gets me going. I don't think about insurance every day. I think about, how do I grow this book of business? Not book of business. How do I grow this business? And how do I develop our staff? Where do we want to be a year, 3 years from now? And casting that vision for myself, but then also telling our team on a regular basis what it is that we're building. So that to me is my role. That's what I want to do every day. Not just focusing on insurance and the rate increases, the underwriting issues, because those issues will always be there. And that's where agents and staff members a lot of times spend a lot of time discussing. And to me, that's the things we deal with, but that's not the things that I want to focus on. To me, growth is the thing that we focus on.
Yeah. No, I think that's so important. You already understand what's so important with staffing. You have to paint the vision, and then you have to share the dream, and that's kind of what gets us all excited, because insurance in general is not that excited. And you may have big dreams, but if they don't feel like they're capped at a certain place, then they may not have the hunger or the ambition to, really commit to an agency. So sharing that dream with your staff, I think that's something I learned, that sometimes I feel like, man, maybe I'm overselling it, but sometimes um, I end up underselling it if I have those doubts. Like, I really want to believe that they could do great things, we could do great things. And I
How do
think,
you sell it? How do you sell the dream, Dan? You have a big team. What do you tell your staff?
well, let's just do it for our family. I think depending on the individual, we have to change it, but most of us are family based, and that's where our motivation comes from. And a lot of times, just kind of comes down to the financials, like that's what we're here to do, is to make money and also have a good work-life balance for them. Maybe not so for me, but I'm telling them, hey, you could have weekends off, holidays off, you could make six figures, you could be happy, you could be health conscious here. And I just like to just teach them things that will help them in life. So try to bring value in that way too. But I think financials is pretty important too, and using their family and being able to take nice vacations and things like that, whatever they like. But I'd like to just make sure that I'm never selling the opportunity short, because it's such a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you a question, Vlad, on your team, the team concept you had. You know how you said for six, right? 6 groups of 6, one's a lead, one's an onboarder. Are you envisioning your lead to be in sales too, or are they going to be more like the training type?
Yeah. So 3 positions on a team of 6. So 4 salespeople, their main job is to acquire new households, new customers to our organization. That's 100% of their job. The onboarding specialist takes the new business that is written by the salespeople. So if each sales producer is carrying their weight, they're closing 1 deal a day. So the onboarding specialist is onboarding 4 new clients a day. That's 4 new opportunities to ask for referral, to cross-sell life insurance, to really take one household and go multiple directions with it. Okay. The 6th person, that's the team lead. And the team lead does not sell. They're not allowed to sell. Their job is not to sell. Their job is to lead their team of 5. Now, to qualify to be a team lead, you can't come in externally and say, I've led a sales team. I don't care if you've led a sales team. It's great that you've done that, but there's 3 core ingredients that we look for in a team lead. The team lead is someone who has demonstrated that they can achieve the numbers that the salespeople are expected to sell, which is 1 deal a day, 1 household a day, or 50,000 in premium. So they had to have done that for a few months. That's the first core ingredient. The second core ingredient is that this person has to be considered a lead or a leader by the current team. So if I say I'm a great leader because I used to lead a team, that doesn't mean anything. The team has to come to me and say, look, this John guy is a really good leader. Here's why. So I can go into deeper in this if you want, but to me, the team needs to say that you're a good leader. And the third part is you have to be reliable. So if you're not here every day, if you're not on time every day, you cannot be a lead. I don't care if you do 100,000 in premium every month. And if people call you a lead, if you're not consistently here, if you're always sick, if you're always having car issues and just unreliable, you can't be a team lead. Because what I expect from a team lead is someone who shows up first before anybody else does and gets all the stats ready from the day before and facilitates the morning huddle, facilitates the morning role play session with their team. And then throughout the rest of the day, they have their headset on, they're listening in on conversations. As you know, most phone systems these days, you can listen in on a conversation happening in real time, and you can give them feedback in the moments. If I had someone doing that 8 hours a day, that would take so much pressure off of me as the agency owner, because I don't have to do that full time. I know that the person who's given feedback has already performed at a high level. The team considers that person to be a lead, and they're always reliable. They're always there. So that to me is a very important position. So that's one team of 6. And it doesn't have to be always 6 people. It can be more. So as we hire new producers, there might be 5, 6, 7 sales producers, 1 onboarding specialist, and 1 team lead. But then as we continue to grow, we'll break off and have a second team with a different team leader, a different onboarding specialist, and then the 3rd team, and the 4th team, and the 5th team. And then once you have a bunch of teams, there's so much exciting things you can do. One thing I cannot wait to do, this is something that I cannot wait to have 4 teams And I think it's going to be ideal at least when you have three or four, at least three teams or more, when you have a draft. So imagine if you have four team leads and they all get to pick their own, four team leads and they all get to draft their own team. It's kind of like, when LeBron and Kevin Durant picked their players for the All-Star game.
Yeah.
They do it behind closed doors where you never knew who was picked first, second, third. And then the last couple of years they were doing it publicly. That's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
that would be really cool if we could do that. And the other thing is the team leads, there's some pressure put on them, because if you're a good team lead and your team is doing 200,000 in premium, but then my team is terrible, I can't get my team to do over 100,000 in premium. Well, I probably shouldn't be a team lead. I can be replaced. So it forces me to step up my game, because nobody's role is secure. Nobody's job is secure. So I feel like that's what happens a lot of times in leadership roles. People get to leadership role and they feel complacent.
And the lead's compensation will be based off their team's production?
Override, yeah. So they get a base pay, and then a compensation place is tiered based on how much a team sells. So if they do, the base pay would be $4,000 for the team lead. If they do less than 100,000 in premium, the whole team, then there's no commission on that, 0%. If they do 100 to 150,000 in premium, that's 1%. 150 to or 100 to 150 is 1%. 150 to 200 is 2%. If they do anything over 200%, it's 3%.
Do you? Yeah, I love talking about this, because this is a concept I've been considering.
Mm-hmm.
Do you foresee a team lead versus like a top sales agent, which will make more, like a superstar sales agent or team lead,
Yeah, it's a good question, because a team lead who is effective at getting their sales producers to sell a lot, then they can make $10,000 a month. So if you're a team lead, you're making 3% on 200,000. That's $6,000 that you make in commission, plus your $4,000 base. So you're making 6,000 commission, 4,000 base. That's $10,000 that you're making per month without you selling anything. You're getting your team to sell. But what if you get your team to sell more than 200,000? Then you get paid even more. So some people will say, look, Dan, I don't care about leading a team. I hate leading teams. I just want to focus on sales. Then just sell. Other people, they get to a point where they say, look, I'm not burnt out, but I feel like I'm past that stage of just selling, but I don't want to open up my own agency and wear 200 hats of things that I have to do. I'd rather just lead a team. And that's where that team lead becomes such a great opportunity for them to get into, where they can lead a team without having to open up their own agency. Yeah. It's basically like running an agency within an agency without all the headaches that we wear.
Tell me about them. Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's a great concept. That's really good that you have these things figured out. Am I asking too many questions? Because can I get into the producer's compensation too?
Dan, there's no too many questions. I love these conversations. Whatever you have, I'm happy to.
I'm always interested in see how, because you definitely have talked to a lot of agents from doing this, but what is your plan? Because I'm pretty sure a producer can make 10,000 too, right?
Yeah, so the producers get paid, and this is a compensation plan that I had for a long time, but in the last 30 days, we just enhanced it. We called it our enhanced compensation plan, where we have our base pay, and then we have an activity bonus, where if you hit certain metrics, you get an extra bonus. So that's based on activity. And then also off of your production and PNC production, you get your commission. But then on top of that, you have your daily, monthly, and quarterly bonuses that you can hit. So I'll kind of work backwards. Quarterly bonus, and I can send you all of this if you want, and I can give you, for everybody who's watching, who's interested, I can give a link where you can download the compensation plan. It's insurancesaleslab.com/comp, COMP.
We'll put that in the description.
Yep. So you can go there and download the compensation plan. Yeah. So it would be, if you have a producer who does 150,000 in premium per quarter, or 50,000 a month, and that could be different state by state. So if you're in a lower premium state where your average household is, say, 2,000 in premium, then you would
A
expect
little
your
lower.
sales producer, to do 40,000 in premium. So it'd be 40,000 times 3, so 120,000 in premium. So if you do that for the quarter, then you get a $2,000 paid vacation. So I pay $2,000 towards a trip of your choice, an experience of your choice.
Every quarter.
So per quarter, yeah.
Wow.
So you can make an extra 8,000 a year. And here's the cool thing. And I always say, do not listen to me if I talk about taxes, but talk to your CPA, and there's creative ways to approach this where it can be where you don't get taxed as an agency owner extra. Because if I add $2,000 to your paycheck, it's just a bonus. What are you going to do with it? You're going to spend it on bills. But if we do this as a bonus for the producer where I pay for the vacation, then that could be a write-off. And again, talk to your CPA on how to do this correctly. But you can help your team member out by sending them on a trip every quarter, and it's a tax benefit to you instead of just having it be extra income that you pay them. So that's quarterly.
I see.
Yep.
Yeah, you help yourself.
I'm trying to not say too much when I talk about taxes.
I get it.
Yep. Monthly, if you hit your monthly goal, which is one household a day or whatever that is in your states for premium, so one household times 20, then that's $300 that I put towards a personalized gift. So let's say you're into working out, Dan, and you've been talking about getting an Apple Watch. Well, what if I go to the Apple Store, Best Buy, and get you an Apple Watch and give that to you versus giving you $300 that you get taxed on and you go and buy yourself an Apple Watch? So I'd rather buy that item for you, give it to you. Every time you look at it, you're going to remember who? The person who gave it to you. Or if I give you you're into Michael Kors and you love the Michael Kors purses or bags. What if I give you a gift card to Michael Kors and you go buy yourself a Michael Kors purse or bag? So what I'm trying to do there is, instead of just giving you more money, more cash, I want to personalize that gift every month just because you hit your monthly goal. This is on top of your commissions that you're making. So that's $300 that you're making per month. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then per day, if you hit your activity goal, the daily activity goal by noon, then I pay for your lunch. So those are some of the, so our daily activity goal is 4 asks for the sale. If I can get to the end of the call and ask you for the sale, where I say, Dan, how would you like to move forward with Visa or MasterCard? Once I've asked for the payment information, that's considered an ask for the sale. So if I can do that 4 times before lunch, I pay for your lunch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, the Boss of the Year award coming to you soon. Let me ask you. Let me also. Yeah, well, you need to recruit a team for that goal of yours, $1 million a month. I love talking big numbers. What are your thoughts on your marketing budget to hit that number there?
Yeah, so $1 million in premium. What I'm envisioning long term is producers doing anywhere between 25,000 to 50,000 in premium. So if you have producers doing that, that's about 33,000 in premium, because it's always the 80-20 rule where you have producers who are just crushing it, and then you have those that are doing okay. So despite you having the best leads, the best sales training, that'll always be the case. Some people will just do better. So if I have producers averaging 33,000 in premium and I have 33 producers, well, that's your $1 million in premium. So that's the numbers, 33 producers. And I don't look at the marketing budget for the agency. That's not how I process this. I look at it on a per producer basis.
Okay.
So if I know that I need to buy 20 leads, internet leads, for a sales producer to close 1 household, and a lead costs $10, then I need to spend $200 a day to buy 20 leads for 1 producer. 20 leads times $10, that's $200. Multiply that per month. That's my marketing budget per producer. If I'm buying live transfers, that's different. If my average cost per live transfer, say, is $70, and it takes 4 live transfers to close 1, then that's what, 70 times 4, what is it, $280 that I need to spend in order to acquire 1 client through live transfers. So depending on the marketing method per producer, that'll dictate how much I spend per producer. So
Mhm.
I don't look at it as a per agency basis. I look at a per producer basis, because my goal is to have every producer just break even. That's it.
Mhm.
I'd like for every producer to make me money, but I'm not taking the profits from each producer and going and buying myself a BMW. I want to reinvest into the agency as much as I possibly can, especially in the first couple of years as I'm growing the assets. And then once I have enough of renewals coming in, then I can start paying myself. But all the new business commission, I believe, must be reinvested back into the team, commissions, and into marketing. So that's how I look at marketing.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Yeah, you want to make sure your producers are fed, they have activity. So it's not like how many you want to spend as an overall marketing budget. It's like it depends on how many producers you have and how busy you want to keep them.
Yeah. I have
So,
questions for you around that as well, whenever I can ask
oh yeah, sure, Vlad.
marketing. Yeah. So one of the most common questions I get is, oh, you're going to have Dan at the Insurance Growth Conference. You should ask him where he gets his leads from. Where do you get your leads from, Dan?
Oh yeah, I get them. Well, I did a lot of internet leads, back in 2007, I was like one of the first agents to get internet leads. But that has slowly, back then people were like, do not buy internet leads, no matter what you do not buy them, because they were like actually looking out for me, but I really had no other choice back then. But now I switched more over to social and search. So those are kind of more of a better leads, in my opinion, more expensive, but they're going to be more, well, first of all, they put my producers in a better situation. So they're going to be less, well, they're not shared and they're all real time. So those are the type of leads that I like to provide my agents with. So there's a little less of the grind and it's more sustainable job duties when it comes to calling leads that, yeah, I did fill that out, or they're actually directly calling us.
Yeah. So with search, people are typing in insurance in and then your area. And then are those call-in leads are you doing, or you're sending them to a form where people fill out a form and then you reach out to them, or both?
They have both options. Yeah. The landing page will have both.
Okay. Great. And with social, is it paid ads through Facebook and Instagram where you take them to an opt-in page, they opt in, or is it lead form? What are you doing on Facebook and
lead form? Yeah. The lead form on they already have, sometimes they're already pre-filled because Facebook and Instagram already knows about you, so it makes it as easy as possible. I don't like to ask them any questions. Really, it's just phone number, email, and address, and then from there on.
Really, you don't even ask for date of birth?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, the more you ask on the form, the less they fill it out.
Yeah.
So as long as we have a way to contact them, they're less, because you're not on social looking for insurance, so they're not as high internet search. But it's a great way to kind of build brand and like kind of follow up with them and have.
I'd consider putting in date of birth in there as a question, because it's going to pre-fill. It's going to make your producer's life easier, and you're not going to get a lot less leads. If anything, if whatever you get in less volume, you're going to make up in quality, because date of birth is not going to be an inputted number that they have to put in. It's just going to come in as part of.
Oh, because Facebook already knows that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a question I would definitely. I agree with you where you don't want to ask too many questions, but date of birth, I would definitely add in there.
Nice. Do you do some of that marketing too?
Yes.
Is that for the agency or more for the sales lab? Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I used to not do any lead form because I felt like the quality was just not there, because intent wasn't there. I purposely wanted to add some friction in there. I wanted people to leave Facebook, go to a page, read a headline, and fill out a form. Even if it took them 60 seconds to do that, I wanted that, because when we made that call, they would remember that they filled out a form. Whereas with lead gen, if they click on a link, they go to a form and they click submit and then on to the next thing, they spent less than 30 seconds thinking about your ad.
Sometimes they even forget.
They forget. Yeah. They're like, I don't remember requesting the quotes. Whereas if there's a little bit of friction, then they'll do that. I don't know what kind of bait you put up, but for us, we've experimented with different things. The campaign that we're running now is giving away a $10 gift card. And so that works well, but I feel like a $10 gas card will work even better because it's so specific. So I can't speak to any numbers, but I'm just kind of sharing my ideas out loud, and you can do whatever you want with it. But just leading with the headline of giving away a $10 gas card. And I know it's not a lot of money, but it just grabs attention. And then you say, if you get an insurance quote from us, we'll give you a $10 gas card. And then we use the platform called tremendous.com, where you can send out electronic gift cards to people. And you can specify what kind of gift card you want to give away. It could be Visa, it could be a certain retailer, including certain gas stations. So you can, yeah.
Is there how much of a quote and how much do you verify that? Like they have to actually finish a quote, right?
Yes. Yeah. So when you get them on the phone, you would tell them that, yeah, I'd be happy to give you a $10 gift card. First, let us go ahead and give you a car and home insurance quote, and then we'll go ahead and send you that gift card at the very end, and then we go into confirming their information. So once you're at the end of the call, you would just email them or send them a text message where they can click on the link and then redeem the gift card through whatever retailer that they'd like.
Man, that's awesome that we could talk about this kind of stuff because there's not that many people in this business or in this world. Maybe there is, but that I could share like ideas with and they know what I'm talking about. So that's awesome that you're in this game too of marketing digitally on social platforms.
Yeah, there was a time for almost 2 years, like 2016, where I stopped doing training for insurance agents and I ran a marketing agency where
for insurance agents?
No, it was predominantly for real estate agents and loan
Oh,
officers.
yeah. Okay.
So they would pay me every month to run their ads for them. So they would give me a marketing budget and my job was to get them as many leads as possible. So it gave me some time to learn how to advertise. And that's where I learned a lot of that skill set. And then once I came back to doing training for insurance agents, I just applied a lot of the same principles that I learned from running a marketing agency.
Man, so many skills, man, Vlad. Do you think
still learning?
Your strength is more for because I already know you're a system guys, numbers guys, but you also have the communication skills. Like what are the skills that has really made a difference in your career so far, you think?
I think I'm not complacent, not to toot my own horn, but I don't feel like any of the skills that I have, I've mastered. I still feel like I'm still scratching the surface of what's possible, be it sales training. I feel like there's just so much more to learn. And that because of that mindset, I think I don't stop growing. I read more books, watch more videos. And I think that's the skill in itself. It's just always learning and knowing that you're not good enough at anything. So I think the moment you feel like you're good at everything, that's when you start losing. And that's why I love talking to people like you and other people in the space who are already winning at a really high level, but you're acting like you don't know anything. Those are the people I love talking to most because, and that's what I want to be. And I don't feel like I have all the answers. If someone asks me what I'm doing, I tell them. But yeah, I hope that never goes away because the moment that goes away, that's when you start being stagnant and you don't grow.
Wow, that's really powerful stuff, Vlad. I can't agree with you anymore. And I hope agents are rewinding that part and listening to it again because this really is the key to really any business, but especially for what we do, the key to being a high achiever. Man, back to the ads marketing because I love talking about that. Is your strategy still to buy leads and do live transfers when you know the game of getting exclusive lead for yourself, generating your own leads?
Yeah. So with internet leads, it's easily scalable. You can get a bunch of them very quickly. You contact a lead vendor, boom, they give you leads. If they are good, you can ask for returns. With Facebook, it's something that you can scale slowly. You can't just, if you're getting leads for say $10 a lead, you can't just put a lot more money in and continue to get the same CPL. So you have to be strategic with your scaling process. And then like just recently, something annoying happened where our Facebook ad got banned because there are certain trigger words that you can put in the ad that will ban or get an ad restricted. Like if you put the word homeowner in there, anything that has to do with credits, home ownership, employment, there's a special category of ads that you have to run. So there's not a human looking at your ads. It's all an algorithm usually. So if you get a lot of ads rejected quickly, then your entire account can get banned, and you have to wait to
Appeal
put it
it.
back in place, reactivate it. So, and it's not like you're breaking any rules. It's just that the system automatically flags that. So that's one drawback, is that it's not as quickly scalable, and you run into the risk of your ad account being banned, and you have to wait for it to reactivate. But ideally, Dan, every sales producer should be working purely off of referrals a year after they start. So yes, we're going to feed them a lot of leads, be through live transfers, internet leads, exclusive leads through social media advertising, combination of all of that. But every time they close a sale, we should be asking for a referral. And your referrals are not going to be you're not going to get a lot of referrals initially, but over time, as you start getting more and more incoming calls from referrals, you're going to just be working off of referrals. So if I'm a producer working in this agency and I'm still working internet leads a year from now, I've epically failed. And that's the message that I share with my staff, is we cannot be working off internet leads a year after you start. Now, the girl who starts a year from now, yes, they're going to start off of internet leads. But as a producer, you got to transition to just working referrals over time.
It just makes your job so much easier too. I mean, just look at the closing ratio.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then the insurance sales lab, that is part of the training, asking for referrals, how to ask and stuff like that.
Yeah, in the one called Close Masterclass training, which is part of our insurance sales lab program, there's a section in there that's devoted just to referrals.
That's the online one, or that's the workshop too, or
both. We talk about it both the online training and also in-person workshop. But I learned the method from a State Farm agent up in Seattle. I drove up there and I met with him. This was before even getting into the industry. I was still talking to agents, learning if I want to even get into this industry. And I met with this guy. And I mean, this guy, I don't remember what car he was driving, but it was a really nice car. He had a really nice office. He was like only 7 years older than me. And I thought, man, 7 years from now, if I could be at your level, I would be winning at life. And he showed me his spreadsheet for the first 3 years of where he acquired all his clients. And he said, okay, look at year one. It was all internet leads. Year two, it was a combination of internet leads and referrals. Year three was all referrals. And he said, you want to know how I get to referrals? I said, absolutely. He said, I'll show this to you, but you're probably not going to use this method. And I thought that was the craziest thing. If it works so well, why would I not use the method? And he said, look, anytime we ask for referral, we always front a $10 gift card. But here, and he says, if I don't front the gift card, I get punished for that. I have to pick up a phone book and make 100 cold calls. And he says that's a punishment that everybody had to go through in the agency, because if you're fronting a gift card and you're following up with them 3 and 7 days later, then you're going to most likely get an incoming call. But if you're not fronting the gift card, you're not going to get any incoming calls. So to make up for that, you got to pick up the phone book and make 100 cold calls. So that was kind of how they played the system. And he said, Vlad, if you don't follow up with people after giving them the gift card, don't expect a lot of incoming calls. And that turned out to be true to me. When I would give someone a gift card, but not follow up with them 3 and 7 days later, I'd get some referrals, but not many. But once I followed up 3 and 7 days later, just by seeing if your gift card worked and if you had a chance to talk to whoever you said you're going to talk to, I started getting a referral 1 out of 3 times. 1 out of 3 times. So in the first 30 days, which means that I have to give the gift card to 3 different people before I get 1 incoming call. So that's $30 for incoming call. $30 for incoming call. A referral is pretty good, don't you think? And we can even... I didn't do this then, but I am doing it now, where I would say, look, Dan, if you send me your family member or whoever, and they get a quote for me, even if they don't switch their insurance, I'll give them $10. So now it ends up being $40 that I give away in total. But the funny thing is that, not the funny thing, but it's interesting how the first 30 days you get 1 out of 3 people to send you a referral, but you get that trickle down month 2, month 3, month 4 of people calling you from months before. So I'd get these random calls of people who would say, hey, my brother gave me your phone number 4 months ago. He said I should call you to get an insurance quote. And I thought, man, this person saved my number 4 months ago and just now giving me a call. So that trickle down of people calling in for months before is what amounted to so many incoming calls by month 9 when I started getting a lot more business written. So I guess that's my way of saying, if you're going to be fronting the gift cards, make sure you follow up with people 3 and 7 days later, and don't expect every person that you give money to send you a referral. At the very least, you can expect 1 to 3 people to send you a referral. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, but the math still works out.
Yes.
If you think about it, yeah.
$40 for an incoming call? Absolutely. I'll pay that all day long.
Yeah, with that type of closing ratio for when it's a referral.
Right.
So man, I feel like I'm getting like trained for free here, so I really appreciate it. But tell us a little bit more about the online program, and then what would you say the differences between the workshops, like the in-person ones? Like, what are it's up to you, but you can maybe even get into some price points and stuff like that. Because I'm all for learning, and my producers to get better.
Yeah. So Dan, I can take your payment information here in just a moment. Just kidding.
You're closing me out on the spot right now. That'd be cool.
The One Call Close Masterclass is very simple. It's an online training platform that allows insurance agents to train their current staff if they've been in the business for 20 years or 2 days. It doesn't matter. New staff or very tenured staff. It works for anybody, where you can start from lesson 1 and go through the first 25 lessons. It takes 2 days. Every lesson has a different topic that we cover. It could ranges from how to start a call, how to overcome objections, how to explain auto insurance where you're building value, how to multi-line policies, whether it's home or renters, how to present the price, how to ask for the sale, how to overcome closing objections, how to get referrals, how to set onboarding appointments, how to host onboarding appointments. So all of that is covered over 25 lessons. Also, how to structure your day so that you're not just busy, but you're productive. So all of that is covered over 25 days. And it feels like you're sipping from a fire hose because you're going through so much information. And someone who's been in the business can turn around and start implementing most of the sales process right away, but you're not going to be perfect at it. Mm-hmm. So what I always tell agents and their staff is that, yes, going through the training once is great, but you got to go through it again a month later and then a few months afterwards, because every time you go through it, you're going to pick up more information that you didn't the first time. And one of the things that I always say is that training is not something you've done, it's something you do. If you just go through a training one time and you say that you're done training, then you've got this whole thing backwards. You got to do training all the time. Mm-hmm. And one of the other things that I like to do is every Wednesday at the same time, 1 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock your time, Pacific Time, we have a 30 minutes or less call review coaching call where I listen to a call recording. So instead of just talking about how to sell more business, we pull a real call recording and we say, okay, here's a call recording. We're going to sometimes listen to the whole thing, sometimes to a small piece of it. And we say, okay, let's see what went well here and what could have gone better. So we listen to the part where they multi-line homeowners insurance, or how they started the call, how they asked for the sale. So every week is different. And then we pick it apart with a producer on what went well, what could have gone better. So to me, that's how I learn best, is by seeing a real life example. And that's what we do on Wednesdays. And our subscribers have access to those calls. They just log in and they can watch them in real time. So that's the training in a nutshell. It's $2,000 for the year. People can either pay in full or they can finance it over 6 months through PayPal. We have that on our website, just insurancesaleslab.com/order. You can go there and see all this information. But for me, the thing that I always say is if someone goes to the training and they use the material and they're not getting results, I'll work with them. So there's never been a time that someone has gone to the training and said it hasn't worked for them. Every single person. We even have a money back guarantee. Nobody's ever used it because everybody who goes through training and uses it gets incredible results. So that's the online training. But the in-person workshop, I teach the same exact sales process, but I do it in a different way because we're in person. We have a chance to role play. Everybody gets an opportunity to stand up, face each other, role play the sales process. We go over questions. We go through different scenarios. So it's the same information that you're learning, the 6-step script, the 1 call close, in an in-person workshop, but it's taught in a different way. So that's the big difference between the in-person workshops versus the online training. And I always tell agents before they attend the in-person events to go to the online training and actually use the sales process, because before you attend the in-person events, you have an opportunity to just use the sales process. And that's the fun part to me, is when people come to agents and staff, go to these in-person events and they say, oh man, I've been using the sales process and I've been crushing it with this, or I have questions about this. The training becomes a lot better that way because they've been using the sales process. They're not learning it for the first time. So that's the big difference.
No, I totally agree with you. Repetition is key, so learning it, if you have the online, doing it over and over again, or doing the online, then go to the workshop. Is that 2K? What if you have multiple producers? Is that per agency, or how does that work?
Yeah, for the entire agency, whether you have one producer or 20 producers, it's the same price. It ends up being less than $200 a month if you boil it down on a monthly basis. And look, if you are not investing time and money into your staff for training, then I don't see how someone can do well in this business. So I don't have all the answers, but
$200, that's like one household. If you can help us sell one household,
if I can help you sell one additional household per month, then this training will pay for itself on a monthly basis. But I don't think that agents should just go through my sales training. Agents should not just go through one training. I think there needs to be one training that you focus on and you use one sales system, but you got to learn from people who are winning at the highest level. So I'm always reading books from different authors on different things. So this is my list that I'm going through right now. Some of these I've already read. I'm going through it again. These are books that I am going through, and this is how I learn personally. This is my method of learning, and I think everybody should have their method. Some people like reading, other people like watching YouTube videos, other people like going to conferences. I like doing all of those things. So I think agents should not just buy my training program and say, all right, that's it. This is going to be my only method of learning. That's the first step, but you got to be doing other things as well.
Yeah, like you said earlier, continuous learning. What's your favorite book right now?
Right now, my favorite book is 0 to 1. So by Peter Thiel. Do you know anything about the PayPal Mafia?
No. Well, I know Peter Thiel started he
started PayPal. So his partners that he opened up the business with, or once they merged with Elon Musk. So his whole idea here with this book is to not just be better than others, but dominate and have a monopoly in whatever it is that you're doing. So I know people look at monopoly as a negative thing. He has a way of looking at it and explaining it as a positive thing. So what emerged from the PayPal Mafia were the founders of SpaceX and Tesla. So Elon Musk, the guy who started Netflix, also was one of the core founders and partners of PayPal. The guy who started YouTube also came from the PayPal Mafia. The guy who started Twitter, Dorsey, also came from the PayPal Mafia. I'm forgetting another one. So there was a group of 6 of them, and they all started billion-dollar companies. So because their whole idea was don't compete, dominate, create a monopoly, and all of these guys have done that. So I look at that and I think, okay, with the insurance agency, what can I do to not dominate, to be above others, but like just be well off and really crush it for the team and those around me. And that's what I'm thinking about in all areas of businesses, with insurance sales, live business, and also with the agency, is how can we dominate and not just be better than the guys down the street or the girls down the street. So
yeah. We need, like I said earlier, man, we need some big thinkers in this business, and reading books like that, just being around, thinkers that are thinking bigger. So that's why I'm just like really excited to get to know you, Vlad, first of all, now, and witness, your journey here. Because one thing that you have is, man, the experience, but also, how old are you?
I'm 29.
Man, what I would give.
29.
Yeah, the future is bright, my friend. Anything I could do to help,
Yes, yes. I'd love to connect with you at a later time. And I want to pick your brain on a few things, but your agency is how big right now?
It's 14 million.
14 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you were to go from 14 million to 30 million in the next 3 years, what would you do?
Mm-hmm. Well, now that I talked to you, because my office space is growing from 3,500 square feet to 6,000 next year.
Okay.
So I do have the space, and that is definitely part of the plans. But I think the next step is to have leadership positions, because at about 15 employees, I could still kind of be in everybody's corner and kind of know what how they work and how to motivate them and train them like individually. I've noticed once I get over like even 13, then I start kind of like I'm spread a little too thin, so I need a leader. So that's why I was asking you a lot of those leadership questions, because I think to get from 14 to 30, then I'm probably going to need a couple leaders to run teams like you just said, because I'm pretty maxed out as a leader at around 15. I like to even have it less in the future to like 10 or even like 4, like, like leaders that I just communicate with and having them do kind of what I do. So I think developing leaders is probably the next step, because my whole career here, my focus has been developing top performing producers. But now the leadership position is kind of like the next step probably.
Are you running a hybrid where you have sales producers and CSRs doing both things, or do you have exclusive sales producers, exclusive CSRs? How is your team split up?
I would say it's hybrid, but obviously the top sales agents are doing 90% of the time sales. But we're not going to be like, okay, you don't do any service. You can do service. Everybody should do some level of service, and then the newer agents are going to do mostly 100% customer service, and they kind of learn their way up into the sales game.
Can I give you some pushback and tell me where I'm going wrong here? Okay. If you have 14, you have how many team members?
14.
14 and a $14 million book of business, right? So how many people of the 14 can you just put into service and say, your main job is to keep our current clients happy, cross-sell, ask for referrals. And yes, you can do some selling, but your main job is to service the book of business. How many people do you actually need to do that?
If they were only doing service only.
Just service, yeah.
Basically, how many people do I need to service the book of business?
Yes, yeah.
Probably 5.
5. 6. So you're looking at about 2 million, a little over 2 million per service person, right? That they manage.
If that's all they do, yeah.
Yep. Okay. So let's just say you had 7, right? 7 people handling service, just to be conservative. That leaves you with 7 other people to just focus on sales. So you have 7 just doing service, 7 just doing sales. And the sales producers, their job is to follow up with the new leads, close new business. Do you think those people, the 7 people from that mix, you can get 1 or 2 people to just crush it where they're doing a deal a day, 2 deals a day, who are just really good at their job, who are also leaders, where people come to them with questions and also are very reliable, where over time you could promote them to be a lead from that group of 7? Do you think that's something you can establish in the next 90 days?
Just 1 leader?
Yeah, just 1.
My fear when it comes to that is that they'll make less than they are now.
Okay, so if your sales team, so how much, if it's not too much to say, how much can a top sales producer make if they're just selling? And
10 grand a month.
10 grand a month. Okay. Do you think that one team lead,
8 to 10,
8 to 10, one team lead can get their sales team to do 200,000 a month without selling themselves?
Depends on who I put on the sales team, because if my fear has always been like, if I have somebody writing like, 50, 60, 70 for them to not write,
okay,
I'm losing production there.
Right.
So that's kind of like my dilemma.
10% better.
Yeah, and then they'll make my job a lot easier.
Yes. So
That's the
now
key
Dan
there.
is no longer coaching. You're no
Mhm.
longer coaching full time. You have that number one salesperson that you have. Is that salesperson reliable, and do people look at them as a leader right
Yeah.
now?
Hmm.
Okay. So let's just say you put that person as a leader, just kind of hypothetically speaking here. If that person made all the other producers 10% better every month,
Hmm.
where their job is to have the headset on, they're listening on conversations, they're whispering in saying, okay, say this, say that. They're the ones motivating, coaching the team. They're putting out spiffs. You give them a budget. That's their main job. That's all they do every day. Do you think the team could do 200,000 in premium? The other 5 or 6 people on that team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're doing. Yeah, we do more than that right now. So,
Right.
um,
So
but
that's why I asked that question,
mhm,
because I know you're doing way over 200,000 right now. You had a 400,000 month a couple of months ago, right?
mhm,
So if the team does 200,000 in premium, that's it.
mhm,
And that team lead gets a 3% override, that's $6,000.
mhm.
Because 3% of 200,000 is 6,000. Plus their $4,000 base, if that's what their base ends up being, that's 10,000 that they make. So they wouldn't make less being a team lead than if they're just selling themselves.
Mhm.
So they'd make more. And if they can get the team to sell more than 200,000, then they'd make even more than 10K.
Yeah,
And
that's
this
really
will
the
now move.
direction. Yeah. No, I'm happy you broke it down. This is the thing that's I'm gonna get the most value out of this conversation here, is to how to do this.
Mhm.
Because I've always thought about how to have it set up where I don't have to be the lead. That makes it so much more scalable.
Yeah. And you don't lose money on that team lead, because if you factor in your accelerator bonus, because people think, okay, when I've shared this before with agents, they're like, oh man, $10,000 to a team lead. How do I get paid on that? Well, um, like forget your the amount of time that you save as an agency owner by not having to do all the things that this team lead would do.
Hmm.
If you look at how much you're making from each producer, how much profit you're making, each producer will basically pay the salary and the commission for that team lead. So it's not a loss center for you to have the team lead. And then you could do something similar probably on the CSR side,
Uh-huh.
because they probably won't make 10K a month.
Uh-huh.
But if you can have a team lead who, yes, they're also doing service themselves, but their core job is to lead the service team, then it kind of puts you in a completely different position where your main job is to recruit and focus on developing your staff personally. Um, have you, so totally separate question, but
Mhm.
have you considered bringing on a personal, like a full-time recruiter?
It's funny because the last show I did was with a district manager who broke down his recruiting process. So
Yeah.
I was gonna have that part of my job, taken over by somebody else. So now I'm like, okay, the recruiting will be have somebody, and now you're helping me with the lead. It's like, in the back of my head, it's like, this sounds awesome, but it's like, man, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna go to Hawaii again. Get another
Yeah, but I like to work,
job together.
I like to work, and that's sometimes my flaw too. Like, I love working so much that I should be. I mean, I delegate, the sales and the customer stuff. I've done that a long time ago, but there's always something for us to do. But
I don't think you're going to work less, Dan. If anything, you're
yeah,
probably going to work the same or more. It's just your job will change,
yeah,
because you're not going to have to be in the moment coaching your staff. Because look,
mhm,
you and I are talking right now, right? You have salespeople in the back. I have salespeople that are selling right now, and I don't have anybody yet. So I'm saying this knowing full well that I don't have a team lead yet, because my agency is so new that I
mhm,
don't have anybody who has produced at a high level for a few consecutive months where I can put them in a team lead. So I have to assume that role. You're way ahead of me with that. You have great staff who have been with you for a long time, who are crushing it, who possibly could be a lead, and they would be the ones leading your team right now while you and I are talking. So it allows
mhm,
you to do other things outside of just leading your team full time. So I think if nothing else, um, if you get anything out of this call, I would love to see how you take on this idea of having a team lead, because selfishly speaking, Dan, I want to learn from you once you start having a team lead, and other agents that I share this idea with who start having the team lead. I want to sit down with those agents and learn from them on how the team lead is functioning. What are they doing? What's working? I'd love to get in a room with 10 other agents just like you who have a big team, who have a team lead. We can just share ideas on what's working with this team concept, because a lot of these events that you go to and masterminds or groups that agents gather with, it's always the same questions that agents ask. And they're all good questions, but I want to focus more on like the people development questions. And you can only get that from people who are actually, who have a big team, who are focusing on developing people. Because if I'm doing coaching full-time of sales training all day long, when am I going to be developing my people on a professional level, teaching people how to have critical conversations, how to lead a team? I won't have time to do that. That's why I need a full-time sales coach or a team lead who can lead the team, so I could focus more on other things, developing people. That's my passion. That's what I want to spend 90% of my time, is developing my staff, from team leads to a brand new hire, just focusing on the personal development side, because that's where I get the most passion and that's what brings me most joy. And I cannot do that if I'm doing everything in the agency, including leading a sales team.
Yeah. No, yeah, very well said. Yeah, I agree with you too. It's a lot of fulfillment and when you're helping people develop, so I get a lot of fulfillment out of that. So yeah, no, I said it myself, that's the next step. So I'm really glad that we had this conversation where you broke down a system already in place to make the compensation work for them, and having the bump in their team's production pay for them too. And I don't think it necessarily has to be the top producer too.
Right. Exactly. It does not have to be the top producer.
Because some people like sales, and I would want to take them away from what they like to do and what they're good at too. But I have a lot of tenured people here, and sometimes maybe the sales grind is kind of catching up to them, and they have more passion to helping others. So I'm really thinking of a couple people right now. This is a great exercise for me, but that's really the next step for my agency.
So I don't know if this is going to be helpful at all for you, but something that I started doing recently is having regular sit downs with the team and asking them 4 questions. And one of the questions is, who on the team has helped you most? A very open-ended question, because you can look at that from many different ways. But if everybody on the team is saying the same name, then I know that, okay, maybe this person's name should be put into the hat for the team lead.
Yeah. So, I've done an anonymous surveys like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where they fill out a survey. Who has helped you out the most? That's good. That's a great way to get feedback too.
Yeah, and if I want to be a team lead in your agency, Dan, and I know that one of the things that you're going to look for is who's helping the most, who's facilitating growth the most, who's the best leader. I'm going to spend my time not just focusing on my numbers and my sales, but I'm going to go out and be very proactive and help others. So it creates a culture of.
Maybe I'll just throw it out there that there will be someone promoted as a team lead eventually in a few months.
Yeah.
And have people kind of apply for that position or kind of earn their position.
I think that's the way to do it, is have people apply for it and say, look, the criteria is very defined. You know how a lot of companies, you don't really know what exactly they did to earn that position. Well, what I don't want is to create an environment where people don't know how one can get promoted. So the expectations are very clear. You got to be a superstar. You have to sell a certain amount for 3 consecutive months to be eligible to apply. The second thing is the team has to call you a lead, not you calling yourself a lead. And the third thing is you got to be very reliable. If you're always showing up late, if you're always sick, you cannot be a lead. Okay, so those are the 3 things. If you know that you can check the 3 boxes, then you can apply for that leadership position when it becomes available in a couple of months. But if I know that I'm struggling with one of the 3 things, I'm not even going to apply. So it makes your job easier when you say, all right, team of 14 people or 15 people, however many you have at that point, we're ready to hire a team lead. We're going to hire someone in the next 30 days. This is how you apply. And this is going to be the criteria that we look for. They're going to look around and say, well, I'm disqualified because I haven't done these two things. And the one person who is going to be eligible is going to be the one who applies. So it makes, I think, your job a lot easier as the leader in the organization to put someone into a leadership role without making it seem like there's favoritism going on.
Right. Hold your thought, Vlad. I'm gonna have to record. Get a charger. Just a second.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Do you have a white noise system in the office?
Whew, sorry about that. I was worried that this thing was gonna get cut off before we had a proper outro.
You're good.
Man. So yeah, no, thank you, Vlad, so much, man. Where can we learn more about what you offer and the sales training and everything that you're up to? What's your favorite platforms or websites? You could send me some.
Yeah, I can send you links, but people can find me just by going on insurancesaleslab.com. If you go to YouTube, we haven't really posted any value content over the last few months just because I've been so busy with what I'm doing, but it's something that we're going to do more regularly. Just look up my name, Vlad Cherchenko, Insurance Sales Lab on YouTube. You'll find our YouTube channel there. But for everybody who's watching this, I think, and this is something that I did after you invited me to do this, I went back and looked at some of the people that you had on your show. I think people should go back and learn from others that you've interviewed as well. So it's always good to have different perspectives. I started watching the most recent video that you did with the biggest farmers agent. What's his name?
It's Cecil, David Cecil. Down in Houston, your state.
Yeah. Yep. So I saw him. I just watched the first couple of minutes. I'm like, oh man, later on tonight, I need to go back and watch that full interview.
He's gonna be in Dallas.
He's going to be in Dallas?
Yeah.
He's going to be at the conference?
Yeah.
Nice.
He should be up there speaking.
I know. What the fuck am I doing? I'm not going to be speaking. I'm going to give him a call. Hey, do you have a cell phone?
I could get that to you. Yeah.
If you can do a 3-way text, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, he's a proven speaker. He's a veteran at speaking at these things. When I was talking to him, I was like, "You need to take my spot," and I need to be the one listening to you.
That's so funny. I track names pretty closely. I'm very, very hands-on with the Insurance Sales Lab business, and I thought I saw that name come through, but for whatever, I don't remember all names, but yeah, I thought I saw his name come through. And because when I saw him on your YouTube channel, I was like, that name looks so familiar, but now I know where it's coming from. That's so cool. Yeah, I'll reach out to him if you do the next introduction.
No, yeah, but thanks for checking out the other shows. But now you can say you're part of it.
Yeah, I'm part of it. Yes.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to your insurance growth conference, but no need because it's all sold out, huh?
Yeah, we could sell tickets for next year. And here's the crazy part, is we're not going to make any money on this event. People think that this is a money-making thing. I'm actually going to end up paying a lot of money out of pocket to make this event happen. Because when you put on an event like this, you have to make a lot of big decisions. And one of the biggest decisions is, do you feed people or not? Just feeding people alone is going to cost us over $100,000 over 2 days, because these resorts, I mean, they charge a lot of money per meal plus taxes, and then every little thing costs money. And we're very, very conscious of every penny that we're spending, but still, it ended up costing us a lot more than we collected in tickets. So that said, I don't need to do this event. It doesn't help me financially by putting on the Insurance Growth Conference. But the reason we're doing this is because I believe that agents, there's a lot of really good people out there, really good agency owners that are just looking to get help. They're considering throwing in the towel and leaving the industry. And I just want to get in front of them and share my perspective of what I'm doing. And if they want to apply the same things, great. I want them to learn from people like you, from people like David, from the other speakers that are going to be there. And yeah, if these 500 agents who are going to be at this event can walk away and transform their agency, that's a win. So even if it's going to cost me money to do this event, I'm willing to do that because to me, it's not just about Vlad winning. It's about us agents winning. There's enough business to go around for all of us. So that's my perspective. And anybody who wants to still register for the conference, I'm sure we could probably sneak a few people in depending on when this is going to air. But just go to insurancegrowthconference.com and sign up there.
Yeah, no, we'll get it up there right away. But yeah, no, hopefully in the future, Vlad, we could work on something together too. Love to work with you in other ways where I could help promote anything that you're doing. Because from what I hear so far and what I've heard from other people, you're the real deal. And we need, again, this fresh energy that you're bringing to the industry and to the farmers family. I mean, that just speaks, we just talked about it off here, but for you to join farmers with all the choices you have, that just shows a lot of, enthusiasm and belief in the direction the company is going. So, because he has some choices, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I was this close to going independent, but the reason I chose farmers, there's a lot of reasons, but there's no better compensation plan right now than what farmers has. And I'm not even talking about the retail program. I'm saying with the accelerator bonus that everybody has access to, where you can double your commissions if you just grow by 10K from the year before. I mean, I did the math on being an independent broker and having a producer do 50,000 in premium or 40,000 in premium and 25,000 in premium. No way I would make money on a producer if I'm with my compensation plan, I should say, because my compensation plan is very rewarding. If you sell a lot, you're going to make a lot. But with farmers, even though I'll pay my producers a lot when they sell 50,000 in premium, I'll still have $4,000 left over per month. This is 3 years later, that I can use that for the marketing budget. Because if you're qualifying for the accelerator bonus, you're doubling your auto, you're doubling your home commissions, and you're paying your producer 6% on commissions on their PNC, and you're paying them a $3,500 base per month, you'll still make over $4,000 in profit after paying base, commissions, and payroll tax. That's $4,000 left over for marketing for that one producer. When I saw that, I thought, okay, this is going to help me reinvest back into the business forever and ever. So that, and then with farmers, I mean, we act like a little broker too, because we have options as well. So farmers is not for everybody, but I like that the company's in growth mode, just acquired MetLife. There's a lot of companies that are stagnant, that are just complacent. Farmers is not one like that. So as long as the company continues to play ball with us agents, I'm all in.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're all about the agents, which is something that I think we need to, your perspective is so refreshing because sometimes when we take the opportunity for granted and we don't make the best of it, so understanding how great the opportunity is and hearing from you who knows so much about the industry and for you to choose farmers is something that I think everyone should get excited about and really understand and see how big the opportunity is. So, man, we're going to be keeping in touch, Vlad. You feel like?
Just the beginning. I'll see you in a couple of weeks here.
Yeah. All right, Vlad. And then, I'll have some questions. Hopefully I can help you in different ways too. But some of the training things in the future, I always feel like, that's a space that I want to kind of enter into. So you're a pro at that. So maybe somewhere along the lines, we'll...
The industry needs you. The industry needs a Dan Kitajima teaching agents on whatever is working for you. I know you have your methods of doing certain things, and people want to know. People want to know how you've grown your agency. And I never look at anybody else as competition who's taken business away. I think we need people who are winning at the highest level to teach others how to do it. As long as they're in the game and they're staying up with the times, not just teaching ideas of what worked 20 years ago. So no disrespect, but the way business runs now is a little different than 20 years ago. So,
And then how it run tomorrow will be different than today.
yeah, exactly right.
So yeah, no, we'll stay adaptive, and keep riding this wave, which has been great for me. So yeah, well, this is my way of.
Last question.
Yeah.
So when are you going to be at 30 million?
Man, I wish I could say the pace that you want to be. So maybe I need to speed up my timeline. But I was thinking 3 years.
3 years from now.
Yeah, that's what pre-interview that was on my goal spreadsheet. But
you're halfway there. You're halfway there.
Yeah, it took me 15 years to get to 14 million. So to double that in 3, it's ambitious, but
growth. You can do it because you're in California and you can go statewide. There's markets in California that are better than others. Man, with because you have the hardest part.
But you're going to be from 0 to 30 in 3 years, so I got to pick up the pace here.
But you have such a big head start. I really think that you could be one of the quickest agents from now to in the next few years to get to 30 million. And because you have a big team, you're crushing it with the current staff. I think you're a few pieces away from putting the right people into the right leadership role, and teaching them how to properly lead before you can take some of that off your shoulders and you can focus on more of the recruiting and adding on to your staff. Because if you spend less time just coaching your team and you have someone else doing that, you're still going to be a part of it, but someone else is going to be doing that full time. Mm-hmm. And you're spending more time just recruiting more staff. You can write more business because your current staff, there's only so much more that they can do. They could probably double their sales, right? Mm-hmm. But how do you triple or quadruple your sales? You need more staff. And that's where that recruiter comes in. Maybe you need to have a recruiter, not just a team lead as well. That's who I hired as a full-time recruiter to help me with recruiting on staff full-time.
Wow.
So because I see the importance of having a lot of staff. So I think if you take your time and you focus on recruiting and people development, man, you're going to be unstoppable. You're already unstoppable. But
if I get to 30 million, I'm going to have to give you some credit from this talk.
Know if I deserve it.
Because the lead that you talked about, the position, the sales lead position, and then the referral ones, I think is the big one too. I don't think I'm in that game. We get a lot of referrals, and I look at the closing ratio, and it's like, wow, it's like crazy. I wish we could get more, but I'm not into it heavy as the process goes. I mean, it's part of the process, but tremendous because I'm sometimes like, man, I gotta write these gift cards out and mail it out. It's like so that's something that I've always wished was an easier way to just send out the gift cards, and then the recruiting thing. So you're giving me some points here. Again, man, I need to send me an invoice for this training here.
All right, I will.
No, but for now, I want to crush it for your conference. I'm really looking forward to being part of it. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm going to do my best to provide value to the audience. So looking forward to that, and also to getting to know you some more. Yeah, can't wait. Thank you again for the opportunity. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, thank you, Vlad. I'll see you soon. Yep. All right, man. See ya. Bye.